The Jem'Hadar fleets cowed entire civilizations, shattering worlds, until humanity's secret armada surged forth from the galactic shadows to end the Dominion's reign of terror. Commander Karos stared into the black abyss of space on his warship's bridge. I grow weary of chasing the Federation's stragglers across the stars. When will they accept Dominion? We've won numerous glories. Empires capitulate at the mere sight of our banner, Vectan said. The Vulcans' guile and Andorian tech are thorns, but we always prevail. Karos turned, voice lowering. The Founders grow restless with these delays. They demand total subjugation. An alert chimed. Report, Karos barked. The supply base sabotaged by a single human, Eugene Thompson. Karos's blood chilled. The humans, primitives, or so they thought, if more existed with such skill. The implications hung, a spectre over the bridge. Could one species stall their conquests, derail their inexorable march across the galaxy? The Founders appeared on screen, alabaster faces devoid of mercy. Karos and Vectan stood straighter, pulses quickening. They were the Dominion's iron fist, pitiless, undefeated. But suddenly, staring down the Founders' wrath, even the hardened warriors felt an unfamiliar emotion. Fear. The view screen crackled to life, revealing the visage of Orachnor, a female Founder whose features were sharp and stern. Karos and Vectan stood at attention, hands clasped behind their backs as they faced the unyielding gaze of their superior. Commander Karos, Orachnor began, her voice cold and demanding. I have received troubling reports regarding the recent incident at our supply base. A single human infiltrator managed to sabotage our operations. Explain. Karos maintained his composure, despite the weight of Orachnor's scrutiny. Founder, the human, identified as Eugene Thompson, displayed an unexpected level of skill and resourcefulness. He infiltrated the base undetected and caused significant damage before escaping. Our forces were caught off guard by his capabilities. Orachnor leaned forward, her interest piqued. Tell me more about this human, Commander. What do we know of their species? Prior to this incident, we believed the humans to be a primitive race of little consequence to the Dominion's plans, Karos replied. However, it appears our intelligence was incomplete. Orachnor nodded, a flicker of calculation in her eyes. Indeed, Commander, we have received new intelligence suggesting that the humans are far more advanced than we initially believed. They possess a secret fleet of warships hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Karos and Vectan exchanged a brief glance, surprise evident on their faces. A secret fleet? Karos questioned. How is it possible that we were unaware of this? It seems the Federation may have been collaborating with the humans, keeping their true capabilities concealed, Orachnor replied. This development raises concerns about the balance of power in the galaxy. Karos nodded, his mind racing with the implications of this revelation. What are the Founders' plans to address this potential threat? Orachnor leaned back, her expression calculating. We have dispatched a team of Vorta diplomats to initiate contact with the humans. They will assess their potential as allies or enemies. In the meantime, Commander, you are to continue gathering information on the humans and prepare for the possibility of a confrontation with their fleet. Understood, Founder, Karos replied, bowing his head in deference. We will not underestimate the humans again. As the transmission ended, Karos and Vectan turned to each other, their expressions grim. If the humans possess the power to challenge the Dominion, Vectan mused, the galaxy as we know it may be on the brink of change. Karos nodded, his eyes fixed on the starry expanse beyond the view screen. We must be prepared for whatever comes next, Vectan. The Dominion's supremacy is no longer a certainty. The Jem'Hadar light attack cruiser glided through the murky nebula, its running lights dimmed to avoid detection. Commander Karos stepped out of the airlock onto the grimy deck plates of a dilapidated space station, a seedy outpost far from the watchful eyes of the Founders. He moved through the dingy corridors, his nondescript cloak concealing his true identity, until he reached a dimly lit bar. Thotmal was already seated at a corner table, nursing a bubbling green concoction. Karos slid into the booth across from him, keeping his face hidden beneath a tattered hood. "I trust you have the information I requested," Karos said, his voice low and measured. Thotmal leaned forward, his beady eyes glinting in the low light. "I do, but it will cost you. The Breen Confederacy doesn't give away its secrets for free." Karos nodded, sliding a data chip across the table. "Half now, half when you've delivered." Thotmal snatched up the chip, plugging it into a handheld device to verify the payment. Satisfied, he pocketed the device and fixed Karos with a penetrating stare. "My sources tell me the humans have been building a secret fleet for decades, right under the noses of the Federation and the Dominion. They've got stealth tech unlike anything we've ever seen, warships that can run circles around a Jem'Hadar attack cruiser." Karos leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Go on." "That's not all," Thotmal continued. "They've got some kind of new weapon, something that can punch right through your energy shields, like they're not even there. I don't know the specifics, but I hear it's nasty business." Karos felt a chill run down his spine. The Jem'Hadar's shields were the backbone of their military might. If the humans had found a way to neutralize them... "What else can you tell me about their capabilities, their tactics?" Thotmal shrugged. "They're a crafty bunch, from what I hear, always coming up with new ways to outsmart their enemies. They'll feint one way, then hit you from a direction you never saw coming. And they stick together, too, loyal to a fault. You go after one of their allies, you better be ready for the whole lot of them to come down on your head." Karos nodded, his mind racing with the implications of Thotmal's intel. He had to get this information back to the Founders immediately. They needed to start preparing for the possibility of a confrontation with the humans, and fast. He transferred the remainder of the payment to Thotmal and rose from the table, pulling his cloak tight around him. "You've been most helpful, Thotmal. I trust our business here is concluded." Thotmal grinned, his teeth glinting in the dim light. "Always a pleasure doing business with the Dominion, Commander. Until next time." Karos slipped out of the bar and made his way back to the airlock, his thoughts consumed by the looming specter of the human threat. The Dominion had always assumed its supremacy was unassailable, but now, for the first time, he found himself questioning that certainty. The galaxy was shifting beneath their feet, and the Founders needed to be ready for whatever came next. Upon returning to the Jem'Hadar Dominator, Karos wasted no time in debriefing Vecton on the unsettling revelations he'd gleaned from his clandestine rendezvous with Thotmal. As the two warriors pored over the implications of humanity's cloaked armada, an urgent transmission from the Vorta emissaries, dispatched to establish contact with the humans, cut through the charged atmosphere. The view screen crackled to life, revealing the visage of Weyoun, the chief Vorta diplomat. Gone was his typical air of unflappable composure, replaced by an expression of unbridled astonishment. "Commanders," Weyoun began, his voice taut with barely contained excitement. The initial parley with the human delegation, spearheaded by a formidable individual known as Admiral Victor Prescott, unfolded in a manner that defied all expectations. Karos leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Elaborate, Weyoun. What transpired during this encounter?" Weyoun clasped his hands, his eyes gleaming. "The humans, it appears, are intimately acquainted with the Dominion's reputation for conquest and subjugation. They made it abundantly clear that they would not be cowed into an alliance through intimidation or coercion." Vecton scoffed. "Brazen audacity. What do they propose, then?" "That, my dear Vectan, is where the narrative takes an unforeseen turn," Weyoun replied, a hint of admiration coloring his tone. "Admiral Prescott put forth a startling proposition. The humans stand willing to share their advanced technology and military acumen with the Dominion, contingent upon the establishment of a non-aggression pact and clearly delineated boundaries between our respective territories." Karos and Vectan exchanged a look of pure astonishment. Such a bold overture flew in the face of everything they understood about the Dominion's approach to diplomacy. "There's more," Weyoun continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. The humans possess an uncanny understanding of the Dominion's culture and motivations, likely the fruit of extensive intelligence gathering. Admiral Prescott even alluded to the presence of a human operative within the ranks of the Jem'Hadar. Karos's mind raced, pieces of the puzzle falling into place. Could Eugene Thompson have been more than a lone saboteur? The implications were staggering. As the transmission with Weyoun drew to a close, Karos and Vektan were left to grapple with the realization that they faced a formidable adversary in the humans, one whose cunning and capabilities demanded respect. We must weigh the potential benefits and risks of accepting the humans' proposal, Karos mused, his brow furrowed in contemplation. This decision could very well shape the destiny of the galaxy. Vektan nodded, his expression grave. The Founders must be informed immediately. The emergence of the humans as a player on the galactic stage changes everything. Karos turned to the view screen, his gaze fixed upon the vast expanse of stars. The Dominion had long assumed its supremacy to be unassailable, but now, faced with the prospect of an alliance with the enigmatic humans, the very foundations of their empire seemed to tremble beneath their feet. Karos and Vektan stood on the bridge of the Jem'Hadar Dominator, their faces etched with disbelief, as the image of Orcs flickered to life on the view screen. "Founders, the humans have offered a path to peace," Karos said, his voice steady despite the tension. "Surely an alliance would serve the Dominion better than war." Oracnor's eyes narrowed, her voice dripping with disdain. "The Founders do not compromise, Commander. The humans are a threat to our supremacy. They must be eliminated." Vektan stepped forward, his brow furrowed. "But, Founder, their technology and knowledge could strengthen the Dominion. Is it not wise to consider—" "Enough!" Oracnor snapped. "You will gather the full might of the Jem'Hadar fleet and launch an assault on the humans' secret base. Their insolence will be crushed beneath the heel of the Dominion." As the transmission ended, Karos and Vektan exchanged a glance, their unease palpable. "The Founders' pride may be our undoing," Karos muttered, his hands clenching the console. Vektan nodded, his eyes fixed on the starfield ahead. "We have no choice but to obey." The Jem'Hadar fleet surged forward, a sea of gleaming ships cutting through the void. As they neared the coordinates of the human stronghold, a blinking light on the comm panel caught Karos's attention. "Incoming message," he said, his voice tinged with surprise. "It's from Eugene Thompson." Vektan's eyes widened. "The human infiltrator? How did he obtain this frequency?" Karos opened the channel, and Thompson's face appeared on the screen, his expression grave. "Commander Karos, I am not just a lone operative," he said, his voice urgent. "I am a member of the Shadow Blades, an elite human intelligence agency. Your fleet is heading into a trap." Karos leaned forward, his heart pounding. "What do you mean?" "The humans anticipated the Dominion's betrayal. They have prepared an ambush for your fleet." Thompson's eyes locked with Karos's. "If you value the lives of your crew, you must turn back." Karos turned to Vektan, his mind racing. "The Founders have led us into a slaughter." Vektan's face hardened. "We must warn them, convince them to call off the attack." Karos opened a channel to Oracnor, his voice urgent. "Founder, we have received intelligence that the humans are aware of our approach. They have laid a trap. We must abort the mission." Oracnor's face contorted with rage. "You dare question the will of the Founders? Press forward, Commander. The Dominion will not be deterred by human trickery." As the transmission cut out, Karos slumped back in his chair, the weight of impending doom settling upon his shoulders. The Jem'Hadar fleet entered the human star system, the Dominator at the vanguard. Suddenly space erupted around them, a maelstrom of fire and debris. Human warships, sleek and deadly, emerged from the darkness, their weapons tearing through the Jem'Hadar ranks. On the bridge of the Dominator, alarms blared and consoles sparked. Karos gripped the armrests of his chair, his knuckles pale. "Evasive maneuvers," he shouted, his voice straining to be heard above the chaos. "We must retreat." But it was too late. The human fleet surrounded the Dominator, their weapons locked and ready. Admiral Prescott's face appeared on the view screen, his expression a mix of triumph and regret. "Commander Karros, your ship is crippled and your fleet is in ruins," he said, his voice steady. "Surrender and your crew will be spared." Oraknor's voice crackled over the comm, her tone venomous. "Self-destruct the Dominator, Commander. The Jem'Hadar do not submit to lesser beings." Karros looked at Vektan, his eyes heavy with the weight of his decision. In that moment he saw the truth. The Founders' arrogance had blinded them to the strength and resilience of the humans. They were not a species to be conquered, but a force to be reckoned with. "No," Karros said, his voice clear and resolute. "I will not condemn my crew to death for the sake of the Founders' pride. We surrender." As the Dominator's shields dropped, and the human boarding party streamed into the ship, Karros and Vektan stood side by side, watching the destruction of the once invincible Jem'Hadar fleet. "The Founders have underestimated the humans," Vektan said, his voice heavy with realization. "Their hubris has brought the Dominion to its knees." Karros nodded, his eyes fixed on the carnage before them. The galaxy will never be the same. The Dominion's reign is over. As human soldiers surrounded them, Karros and Vektan exchanged a final glance, a silent acknowledgement of the truth they had both come to accept. The era of the Dominion had ended, and the future belonged to the humans and their indomitable spirit. "Incredible, isn't it?" Vektan said softly as they were escorted from the bridge, "that a single species could bring the Dominion to its knees." Karros nodded, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. "We were wrong about the humans. Their strength lies not in their technology or their weapons, but in their unity and their courage. They fight not for conquest, but for the sake of their ideals." "And that," Vektan replied, "is a power greater than any the Dominion has ever known." As the Dominator was towed away by the human fleet, Karros and Vektan knew that they had witnessed the dawn of a new age. The humans had proven themselves to be more than just another race to be subjugated. They were the future of the galaxy, and their victory over the Dominion would be remembered for generations to come. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.